I could get down and talk to you. Do we have some microphones here in the audience? Okay. Anyone that wants to go to a mic or anyone that wants to shout it out if I can hear it? Way back there, shout it out.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the have you ever walked up to this?
Well, network is a problem, and I thought of producing it other ways out of network. What is happening with cable and so on, unless these things are becoming possible, they're not yet fully possible because you don't get enough money yet from cable and other things to pull one together in good style. But the amounts are growing every year, and we're only a few years away from the time in which a producer like myself will be able to make a program specifically for a minority of maybe 6 or 8 million people like you, and that is successful. So, television will improve quickly on the engineers and scientists that made all that possible. Thank you. I saw I have here somewhere. Yes.
You have a script or proof yet that has not been
Please don't send anymore. I would need a staff of 40 people to read all the letters. Even my own son, 8 years old, he said, Dad, I've got an idea with a picture. How much will I get if you use it? I don't want to hear it. Okay, fine. All I can say is we know pretty well the direction you're going, and we have a couple writers working now, and Harv and I are committed to making this the best Star Trek that has come out so far. Right here.
What is the feedback from the death of Spock?
The feedback on the death of Spock was mostly against it. The truth of that, I'll give you the background on that. Leonard really, at the beginning, wanted Spock to die. And you can't blame him. It's a powerful character. It's like having the old man of the sea on your back. And he's a serious actor, and he really felt he wanted to get rid of it. A couple of things happened. Number one, when the word came out, the telegrams began to come in and phone calls. We almost had to buy another switchboard for Paramount. And Leonard heard about it everywhere. And as time went on, his mind began to change, not so much for the pressure of the fans, but the fact that he began to realize the deep affection people hold for this character. I think also, to be totally fair, he is an actor. He is not Spock. He's Leonard Nimoy, actor. And it's nice to get $500,000 for a picture, you know. I don't blame him. But so the decision was mostly anti. There were some people that said, look, he's had a good life, let him go. I don't think Paramount will let him go. Paramount, motion picture studios are there to make money, and I think they see the Spock character making them a lot. Right here.
I noticed in the center, too, that there was very important character. Where was Christine?
Where was Christine? Oh, I was glad to hear that. For those of you who don't know, I'm married to the lady who played Christine Chapel, and I'll talk about some other things she played later, but she's the one you saw Dr. McCoy grabbing. And the more I look at it, the more they seem to enjoy it. Major, any of you, but Christine was a very small part, and she may appear in it. She runs a very large corporation, and she's quite busy. But she has a word for young ladies here who may be interested in drama. She says, forget the old story that it pays to sleep with the producer. She said, I haven't had a good part since I began. I'll tell you another story about Mako. When we did give her this part, she read that it said, you know, this nurse that she was going to be in was in love with Mr. Spock, and she thought, wow, this part could really amount to something. Then she read the series description and found out I double-crossed her. I'd written into her that Vulcans come in heat only once every 7 years. Right here, Scotty.
Roddenberry asked a question, I'm sure that's the millions of times. But do you have any plan of doing a second Star Trek television?
A second Star Trek television series. Do we have plans? At the present time, I'm sure that Paramount doesn't want to do it until the motion picture cycle has run its out, because that is much more profitable than television. The way television is structured today, the networks really do the best, unless you have something hopelessly successful. I will not do another TV series, the reason being that to do a Star Trek television, I'm sure we'll find some people eventually that will do it, but I'm not willing, again, to work 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. I gave up many months that I regret with my first family with it, and I don't want to give that up again. I think it's time to bring someone in that wants to make his or her stand on it. But someday there will be, almost certainly. I suspect that I've got a question from one of the news people here tonight that did I think it'll go on in later years? Yeah, I think probably it's chief of status, something like Sherlock Holmes or Tarzan and things like that, so eventually there will be others. Right here.
Why do you rank Spock?
I asked the same question when they gave me the script. Chekhov, of course, was not there when the Khan thing went on, and I pointed this out to the young director, but he was too far along to change his mind at that time, and I thought the audience would probably accept it as a poetic attitude, although it should not have been done. I agree with you. Right here. I'll try to get back there in a minute, too. Yes.
Chekhov, the thing was there, was right down.
Well, I promise you, if he is, McCoy will fix it. Right here. Yes, sir. A possible what? That is very possible. As a matter of fact, that would be my choice rather than a television series when it comes back to TV, to do 6 or 8 90-minute or 2-hour Star Treks a year. I think they would do much better, get better budgets and all of that. You like that? It's really too much to try to do a half a science fiction movie every week. We've always had somebody from our staff in the hospital for nervous exhaustion or something like that. That's the reason you read about so many jokes we pulled. It was the only, if we had to keep laughing, it would have hurt too much. Right here. Do I see it for change? Yes, I have. You might wonder why, on the Chekhov thing and in the uniforms, which I didn't like, and some other things, why I just didn't ever do it that way, but you can't. Ours, motion pictures is one of those businesses in which a committee does create something. You have writers, directors, you bring in the film director, art directors, costume directors, and you just cannot say to them, yeah, go out and use your imagination and ingenuity, but don't do anything without checking with me. It doesn't work like that, so you have to give them some latitude, and particularly your director on stage and your new producer. What I would like to have in uniforms is I would like to see them get further and further away from the military. I think And I think any people here who have been in the military will agree with me, the military is a crock. And I would like to see the clothing reflect a future century, and we're not afraid of our bodies, and we don't have to look like toy soldiers and so on. But unfortunately, there's a huge hunk of the audience who's never been in. People who have never been in uniform think, "Wow, that's great," and saluting and all of that. And I'll try to move them away from it. We were going to put in the Star Trek The Motion Picture, we were going to put some new clothing on the people in the recreation room, very, very near nudity, because we felt that by this time we're not afraid of our bodies, and if we're in shirt-sleeve atmosphere, probably people would wear less and less. But Bob Wise at that time pointed out, hey, that's the only one scene we have in there, and if we just give them a quick flash of near nudity, it will look like you just did a cheapy thrill. And he said, we better not to do it that way. We better wait for a script in which we can develop why we dress like this and all of that. And I think it was quite right. Yeah, right back there. Will you stand? And
earlier this summer, my magazine reported that Paramount had 8 films to do 18 months apart.
I said, Paramount had not announced that to any of us. It may have been one of their vice presidents or chairman of the board talking. I think what the only thing they said to me is the 007, the James Bond things, I think, went 8 or 9 films, and they said, why couldn't ours? It was well handled. And I have been saying to them, it will, as long as you don't start cheapening them and giving in to pressure for quick box office sales and that sort of thing. You can ruin a film by so catering to the sensational that the idea will not hold up. They don't want to become so sensational that people tire of it. There's be some tough decisions they have ahead. I would take a few more here. Right here.
Yes, sir. I've got
taking the last part of it first, Star Trek was not pulled in general distribution fast. It may have been here, but they leave it up to the distributors. It's still showing around Los Angeles and New York and some places. What was my favorite movie? Wow, E.T. You know, I love it. I'm one of these people that can't wait till it gets to Disneyland. I think anyone that doesn't I don't think I really like anyone that really didn't like Disneyland. I think you don't have a little child in you, you're in a hell of a lot of trouble. Any of us, as old as you get. And the child in me and E.T. really came out. I was sitting there, tears in my eyes, E.T. is dying. I knew, I make movies. This is my business. I know they wanted him to die. And I'm crying. I'm saying, damn you know. I hope there will be less violence in Star Trek 3. I objected to the violence in 2. I thought there were other ways to do things. A couple of things I objected to. I objected when the thing came out of the guy's ear. Now, no, I didn't mind the looks of that. You know, if they've got those things and they like to cuddle into brains, you've run into strange things. What I objected to, strangely enough, is when it came out, Kirk pulled his zap gun and went zap. Now, what kind of a scientist, what kind of a starship commander is a guy that gets angry at a little alien thing because it's doing what it does naturally? We must lose that attitude of ugly, bad every time we've got something we don't agree with. And I didn't like the scene of the cooks hanging there. And they went in there, the cooks were, as a matter of fact, when it came up, I think it was McCoy in that line. somebody else had a line, my God, look what they've done to the cooks. They're hanging there. And I told them that McCoy's line should be, I know, have you heard eating their food? And I hope to joke them out of that, but it wasn't successful. All right, back here.
Do you see a lot of any development of new characters, or are you going to keep more on the old characters with the characters? Or do you see development of new characters?
We will continually try to develop new characters, and as we get some that really work, begin to keep them in, because we can't have our bridge look like a geriatrics ward. The years are going by. And I'm behind the camera, but they're not. But don't you think they kept in great condition? No, they're really, yeah. Okay, just a few more. Yes, sir.
I played it out on the day. You got a little home video pictures, bounce, the fish, and watch, and you got to look at stuff. Because bounce, the chair, and see the neighbors there. Watch those. On the back, bounce, the chair, it's Spock, oil, quick. Because the run, they identified together the run.
Okay, yeah, I know what happened. The balance of terror, Spock looked up and saw Romulans on the other ship, and there was in the early cut of the picture, before the local stations began to trim into it to show more advertising, there were some looks on the bridge towards Spock, how can we trust you if you're allied to those people that was about. But incidentally, if any time you get one of those, you're supposed to send me 37 cents. One more question, and then I'm and right.
Why does the city have some strong control?
What syndicate is this?
All of
You mean the network, the syndication people? Well, it's there are some places in the country they run them uncut, and you can get the people who advertise here. It's advertisers. They want as many minutes of commercials as they can get. Really, the fault is yours. When television began, there used to be 2 minutes of commercial for every half hour. Then it became 3, 4, and now it's 7. And if you folks sit still for it, they'll be doing 12 minutes of commercials for every half hour, and some local stations do it. Yeah, but your voice can be heard. You can affect those things. Listen. You're an absolutely wonderful audience, but I do want to move on to the next thing we have here in our program tonight, which is another piece of film. And for those who care to say and see all of it, what we're going to show you is the first Star Trek pilot. It was the one that was turned down by NBC on the basis of being too cerebral for you slobs out in the audience. And it's actually, you can see it in black and white. Parts of it were cut, quite a bit of it was cut into a two-parter called The Menagerie. But what you're going to see tonight is the cage. There is Kirk and all the rest of them are not in it. It's Jeff Hunter is the captain in this, and Spock is about third most important. He is not the executive officer of the ship. The executive officer in this is a woman. This was in the days before. Yeah, right? We in Star Trek have always believed in sexual equality. But see, what happened is women's lib was not around in the days we made this, and NBC tested it. And they said, well, listen, we're going to let you make another pilot, but one of the first things you're going to have to do is get rid of the woman. No one believes her in command of a spaceship. This was not because NBC are really all bad guys. They got this from, believe it or not, mainly from women in the audience in those days who were saying, well, who does she think she is? Honest. You cannot believe how far we have come in this very short time. And I'm delighted that we've come this far. They said also said, oh, NBC did say something silly though. They said, well, you're getting rid of the woman, get rid of the guy with the ears, because no one will believe him either. And I was having many fights with them about that time, because they didn't want me to have other races on the ship. You know, this should be an American ship and all of that. And one of the worst was they said, do you know how, in those days, cigarettes were advertised on television. And they said, listen, you know, you've got to have the people smoke on the ship. There are millions of advertising. I said, oh, come on, this is, you know, a couple hundred years ahead. They said, well, invent a square cigarette or something. I'm proud of myself. I smoked at the time. But I could not believe that. Can you imagine how they look? They would even rerun today. Kirk is sitting there in the bridge, you know, puffing on a square Chesterfield. So anyway, NBC said, get rid of the woman who's second in command and get rid of the Spock. And I figured I can't win all my fights, and I do want to keep an alien. So what I did was I kept Spock on the show and promoted him to #1 and gave him the woman's computer mind ability and so on, kept him on the show, and I fired the woman and married her. But it would have been hard to do it the other way around. If I had, I doubt Leonard would have given me an 8-year-old son, so I think we all ended up better off. This was, you'll see it in black and white, because no one thought enough of the film that was to save a color copy, but I think you'll find you'll like it just as much this way. Isaac Asimov has considered this and has said many times this was his favorite science fiction film that he'd ever seen. So anyway, I hope you will enjoy it. I want to report to you that your committee has been very kind. I have very much enjoyed being with you tonight and been well treated. Thank you very much. Good night, folks.